Good day, students. Welcome to Rats in Pathology. I have pertinently jumped to a topic on bone and joints and shall be continuing. Variety is the species of life. Look at this case history. A 15-year-old boy presented with a painful swelling in the middle of the right femur, along with a history of fever. He did not respond to medical treatment and the X-ray showed an onion skin thickening of the bone. The salient features are underlined here. 15 years of age, middle of the femur, fever, onion skin appearance. What is your diagnosis? And these are the other questions that are usually asked. Go through them. And there is a last clause asking for the classification of tumors. Along with this, this can be a complete essay or a part of an essay. Good. The diagnosis is Ewing sarcoma. In this slide, we shall be seeing the general features. It is common in children. In fact, it is the second most common malignant bone tumor in children. The age is usually between 5 and 25 years. It rarely occurs beyond 30 years of age, and the peak incidence is between 5 and 15. This age we must be remembering because in the history this can lead us to the diagnosis. Male-female ratio is 2:1, and there will be a chromosomal abnormality of reciprocal translocation between 11 and 22. Reciprocal translocation means mutual. This abnormality is found in neuronal tumors, and for confirmation we use an IHC marker, immunohistochemical marker called S100 protein, which is positive. So these are the general features the people must treat. This is the distribution of the Ewing sarcoma, common in the chest wall and in the pelvis. The flat bones are these. But it is also common in the long bones such as the femur, fibula, tibia, and humerus. In fact, 50% of the lesions occur in the diaphysis of long bones. Diaphysis is the middle. And this was first discovered by Sir James Ewing, a surgeon. PNET means primitive neuroectodermal tumor. This is a little difficult for undergraduates, but still I have coined a mnemonic which is absolutely without any logic. Let us see if you can follow it. MNOPQR. O and Q have been purposely marked as small letters. So all the others have meaning. MNQR, and if you know this, you know everything. So this is. Let us see what the tumors are. M for malignant lymphomas, N for neuroblastomas, P for pinealoma, R for rhabdomyosarcoma embryonal type, and E for Ewing's. So this is it. And all these together form a group of tumors called small round cell tumor. Small round cell tumor, it is important, and we people should know the differential diagnosis. This is another mnemonic I picked up from the net, drops. Ewing's occurs in the diaphysis. It is radiosensitive. It has got an onion peel appearance, and Pseudorosettes can be seen. Secondaries can occur to other bone. So this is another mnemonic, easy for you people to remember. These two mnemonics, please do. The origin of the tumor is not clear. So it can be mesenchymal or neuroectodermal, or some people say primitive neuroectodermal tissue. So accordingly, this is it. Virus has not been included in the cause of it. And since we do not know the origin, it comes under a tumor of unknown origin. The gross picture is it affects the long tubular bones along with the other flat bones of the pelvis. And look at this one. This is a tumor. It arises in the diaphysis or the junction between the diaphysis and metaphysis, occupies the entire medullary space. It is grayish white in color with areas of hemorrhage. And as the tumor grows, it bulges, and you find that the bone is also bulging outwards. The cortex is usually intact, but sometimes there can be a rupture of it, which we had mentioned. So long bones, medullary cavity, metadiaphysis, gray-white with areas of hemorrhage, reactive new bone formation leading to an onion skin appearance, and sometimes it can rupture. Microscopically, this is a classical one. It can be given to you people in any of the entrance exam or sometimes even in the undergraduate examination. Sheets of small uniform cells. That is why it is called a small uniform round cell tumor. So these are the tumor cells. They all resemble the lymphocytes, slightly larger. All the nuclei are more or less uniform. There is no mitosis and very little stroma is there. Stroma means the supporting tissue. It is not there. Another important feature of it will be areas of necrosis. There will be massive areas of necrosis. And because of that, there is a pattern called survival pattern. What is the meaning of this word survival pattern? Good. The tumor cells around the blood vessels will be viable. Around the blood vessels, they will be viable means live. Away from that, the blood supply is not adequate, therefore they will undergo necrosis. This particular pattern is called survival pattern. Another important feature will be rosettes. Rosettes is a circular arrangement of a tumor cells around a space. Here I am finding a circular space and then another one. Multiple rosettes are here and they are lined by the tumor cells. And they contain some fibrillary material. Fibrillary material is seen in the middle. These are called rosettes and these are the tumor cells. Sometimes the tumor cells can contain glycogen vacuolation. Please memorize this. It is going to fetch you marks. This again, a similar picture. I have got multiple rosettes and small round uniform tumor cells. And this kind of rosettes is called as a Homer-Wright rosette. Homer-Wright is a proper name. Otherwise, it is called as a true rosette. True rosette means empty space surrounded by tumor cells. So this is the one. I want you people to draw this diagram. Very easy to draw. Central fibrillary material surrounded by tumor cells. There is another rosette called pseudorosette, which will occur around blood vessels, etc. So please remember this. It can be asked as an MCQ, otherwise it will fetch you marks also. You must be able to describe a Homer-Wright rosette. And PAS. PAS means periodic acid shift stain. And in that, I am finding a pink color or a magenta color. That is because the tumor cells will be containing abundant amount of glycogen. So this we must have in mind. What is the clinical picture? It resembles an osteomyelitis, a very dangerous mimic. As we had seen, it occurs between 5 and 15 years. Second decade is the most common. It resembles an osteomyelitis. Why? Because patient presents with pain, there will be tenderness, there is a history of fever. All are features of osteomyelitis. And sometimes the surgeon has treated it as an osteomyelitis, done the curettage, but the pathologist has given a diagnosis of Ewing sarcoma. Please be very careful with this. The radiological finding, classically it is asked. So here I am finding a bone that is involved, and parallelly there is some new bone. I am finding multiple layers. This is called a laminated appearance, and it is similar to an onion skin. So you find the cut surface is resembling this. So the radiological appearance of a onion skin appearance is seen in Ewing sarcoma. And this is the reactive new bone formation. Another feature will be perpendicular new bone, and there is an elevation of the periosteum called the Codman's triangle. But this is more classical of osteogenic sarcoma rather than Ewing's. Here also I am finding one. And look at this picture. The cross section shows multiple laminated layers. So lytic lesions, elevation of the periosteum, subperiosteal new bone formation, onion skin layering. These are the radiological findings. Please remember, Ewing's is a question for you in surgery, in orthopedics, in pathology. One variant is an extraskeletal Ewing. Extraskeletal means it is outside the skeletal system, not on the bones. And this was discovered by Ewing in the year 1931. It is a rare lesion. It is a rare lesion and it is indistinguishable from the skeletal Ewings. It can occur in the chest wall, retroperitoneum, and parenchymal organs such as the kidney and lungs. How do you diagnose a case of Ewing? It can be an MRI, a CT scan, histopathology. Cytology, sometimes it can be diagnosed by fine needle aspiration cytology. And immunohistochemistry, you do a S100 protein, it is positive. And the treatment will be a chemotherapy followed by a local surgery and radiation, and then a maintenance chemotherapy. You can remember it like this. It is a combination of chemotherapy, radiotherapy, and surgery. So this is a summary of it. I am not going to repeat this one. The gross features and Ewing you shall be remembering. Classification is an aid to orderly thinking. I purposely included this as part of today's class because it can be part of an essay question. The tumors of the bone are classified as follows, and I have given the pages as 1/3. So this is the first page. The tumors can be divided into benign and malignant. So the first group will be the bone forming tumors. Under that, the benign tumors are osteoma, osteoid osteoma, osteoblastoma. The malignant will be osteosarcoma. Osteosarcoma. Cartilage forming tumors are chondroma, osteochondroma, chondroblastoma. And the malignant is chondrosarcoma. So please by heart this. At least one page I want you people to by heart every day. I am taking you to the second page. You can by heart it on another day, but go through. Tumors of unknown origin. Benign, we have got osteoclastoma alone. Malignant, it can be a malignant counterpart of giant cell tumor or osteoclastoma, Ewing sarcoma, adamantinoma. These are the three tumors of unknown origin. Histiocytic tumors will be fibrous histiocytoma and malignant fibrous histiocytoma is the malignant counterpart. Notochord is the tissue from which you can get a chordoma. Chordoma. It is not chondroma, it is chordoma. Arises from the notochord. Vascular, there can be a hemangioma. Malignant is hemangioendothelioma and angiosarcoma. And fibrogenic tumors can be non-ossifying fibroma. Without bone, there can be fibroma. Malignant is fibrosarcoma. Secondary is metastatic. Most of the malignant tumors in the body will metastasize to the bone. And there are some tumor-like lesions, namely aneurysmal bone cyst and brown tumor of parathyroid. I had mentioned this in the differential diagnosis on tumors having giant cells. These have multinucleated giant cells. It's a differential diagnosis for giant cell lesions. So this is the third page. I want you to by heart these 3 pages at different times. Keep on repeating it and it will be definitely a useful parameter in your university exam. Thanks again for your patient listening. Mercy.